Hello, everybody. You guys sleepy from lunch, or you guys fired up for the rest of the day? Got Governor Abbott coming up next. I want to get you guys fired up for that. I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you walked in here today in victory? Can you hear? Yeah? Christ says we walk in victory. My name's Adam Lamb. I want to take a moment and tell you guys that you were born for this moment that we're in today. And I want you to just be inspired by everything that we're talking about here, by the speakers that you guys get to hear today and as you heard last night, to be reminded that you're already in victory. The only difference sometimes is a decision. You guys get to choose every morning when you wake up, am I in victory or not? Well, we know the truth. The biblical truth is it's all done. We're already in victory. And I want you guys to be reminded of that. Romans 8:37 says, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. That's Jesus Christ. And I want you guys, thank you. Praise the Lord. And I want you to consider, young people, as you go through this life, you're going to be faced with decisions. What to do? Do I stay quiet? Do I speak up? Do I go this route? Do I go the other route? And I'll tell you something that I learned, what I wish I would have known at your age, was the flesh is a liar. The Word of God is the truth. And your faith in Jesus Christ is absolutely the way to live a life. And like Jesus said, a life abundantly. We're not called to play small. We're not called to survive. We're called to thrive. How many people in here want to thrive in their life? Amen. That's a decision. I'll tell you something. Every day when you wake up, you have the opportunity to make a decision. Raise your hand. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm going to thrive today. I'm going to be bold in my faith. I'm going to represent my Lord Jesus Christ and conservative values everywhere I go. I'm not going to stay quiet. I'm not going to be silent. I'll tell you something. One of the biggest lies, and this is kind of from my generation and I think a little bit generations before, but it's coming undone right now, is that being quiet and being nice are what we're called to be. That's a good Christian. A good conservative Christian's quiet, nice. That is an absolute lie. Because let me tell you something. The enemy, whether it's the left, the devil, does not care about being nice. They're going to take the ground every step of the way unless you're willing to step up and say, we're done. No more of this gender stuff. No more of this abortion stuff. We're done. We're drawing the line. It doesn't make you mean. Did you know the word nice isn't in the Bible once? Not one time. Was Jesus nice? I don't think so. I think he told the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts us, but guess what Jesus says? What does the truth do? Sets you free, right? Proverbs 28:1 says, the righteous are as bold as a lion. And I want to remind every one of you, you can be bold as a lion. It isn't when this happens, I'll be bold, and when that happens, I'll be bold. You get a choice every single day to be bold as a lion. It's a choice. I don't care where you came from or what you've done wrong. You can choose this moment today, walk out of here in victory, and be bold as a lion in everywhere you go. And, the silence has to stop. Do not be apologetic about your faith and your conservative values. That is who you are. It's who you're called to be. And if your friends don't like it, here's the thing. If you live your life authentically, with transparency, people are going to want to be more like you. If you're winning, if you have a marriage that's on fire, you have a business that's growing, you're healthy, people are going to want to be more like you. And when they get to come to you and say, hey, what's the secret, man? What's the diet, man? What kind of company do you own? What are the things? You can tell them it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with my Lord Jesus Christ. We got someone that's already winning out there in the audience. And I don't want you to wait for culture's permission. And listen, kids, I'm going to tell you this. Don't wait for your parents' permission. You do not have to do that. Let it rip. Do your thing. Go all in. Stand firm in your conservative values and the biblical truths that you know in your heart, because they're there. Did you know they're placed in your heart before you were in the womb? Oh, my goodness. That's amazing. So do not tolerate anybody telling you opposite. Because when I was young, I had a lot of people in my life that told me I couldn't do a lot of things. You can't do this because of this, Adam. You can't do this because of this, Adam. Well, guess what? It put a chip on my shoulder to prove them wrong. And I want you guys, if someone is in your way today telling you you cannot do something, I want you to go look in the mirror. Tell them I'm a lion. The victory's already been won, and I'm moving forward. So know who you are. You're not weak. You're not confused. You're not too young. And hey, for my seniors in here, you're not too old to let it rip. You're not too old. I see this younger generation. I'm fired up. But I don't care if you came in here on a walker. You can still let it rip wherever you're at. Don't back down. And next time you feel that little voice to say, don't. What might your friends say? You could lose a friend over it. I'll tell you this. I have way more friends being authentic and transparent and living boldly in my faith with Jesus Christ than I ever could have dreamed of. And they're real friends. Friends that love me for who I am, not friends who love me for what they might be able to get from me, right? And I want you guys to light that fire in this world. And here's some of the options. Start a Bible study. If you don't have a Bible study, start one. Don't wait. Well, maybe then or after school starts or after the summer's over. Start now. Post truth online. Share your faith. If you have social media, which I know every one of you people do, share it. Post something. Post some scripture. You never know the life that could be saved or the person you might plant that seed in that's going to come to you for real truth. Pray before class. Imagine that. Imagine you and your friends meeting outside of class before you go into the school, grabbing hands and praying. Pray at every meal. Do it. Let the people around you, what we're looking at, we don't need a Charlie Kirk tragedy to let a ripple of revival happen. You know what it takes? It's you and your family praying at dinner in a restaurant. Anything, little things, these little bits compound into massive things. And also mentor someone. Again, you don't have to be too young or too old to do this. Find someone to lead. What did Jesus do? 33 years old, he was a disciple. We're called to be disciples. Love God, love people, make disciples. And here's the deal. Start a business. Run for office. Because guess what? When you start a business, you can have a faith business. I have people all the time ask me, because I'm an entrepreneur, I own companies. We pray, we talk about the Lord, and if you don't want to work here, that's fine, but this is what we do. I'm a man of God, and that comes before anything I do, and I'll tell you this, not the stock market, not gold, not oil, nothing is a better provider than Jesus Christ. And here's the other part. When you know that the Lord is your provider, you're unwilling to compromise. You can't be bought. You can't be twisted. You're not going to do the unethical thing because you know what opportunity is through Jesus Christ is way greater than some clown with a paycheck. I want you to remember that. Don't ever let that go away. And remember that you are the light of this world. And a city on a hill cannot be hidden. And so I want you to remember that if you have success, here's one of the biggest problems, guys. I'm 45 years old. I know a lot of successful Christian men. And the problem is they hide their success. They hide their light because either there's guilt and shame attached to being blessed, or they don't want to be attacked by a bunch of crazy left people or something like that. And I want those men to wake up in this room and remember that you're a light. And these young people need to hear your success story. They need to hear your testimony. They need to know your challenges and that your Jesus Christ is your Lord. All right, final words. I got a minute. I'm going to do it less. History remembers those who stood in the fire, not those who ran from the heat. So I want all of you to be bold in your faith in Jesus Christ, our conservative values. Remember, this is a spiritual battle first. The good news is we've already won, so I want you to walk in victory. I want you to walk with your chest high and your shoulders back and a big smile on your face because you already won. And when other people look at you, go, man, you are different. What's up with you? What's the thing? You already have the victory in your heart, and I want you to see it play out in your life. Next up, we got Governor Abbott, so I want you guys fired up for him. Let's go, let's go. My name's Adam Lamb. God bless you. God bless this youth summit, every one of you. Thank you.
Since you all elected me governor, Texas has continued down a pathway toward prosperity.
You stay and fight. You don't run from a fight.
No state has devoted such a large percentage of their budget to tax relief.
0 people that the Trump administration allows to cross the border illegally. They're not trapped in a Democrat congressional district. Instead, they can vote for a Republican candidate of their choice.
If we have members of our society who celebrate an assassination, we have dramatic course correction that we have to take in this state.
Hello, everyone. Are you excited to hear from Governor Abbott? With him, we have Rep. Harris Davila. Let's give it up for Governor Greg Abbott, the greatest governor ever in the state of Texas.
Y'all can be seated if you'd like to. Good afternoon. I am State Representative Caroline Harris Davila, and it's a privilege and an honor to be here with our great Governor, Greg Abbott. Please give our governor one more hand. I want to start, Governor, by asking you a little bit about how you grew up. I'm sure for this crowd, most of you know Governor Abbott as your governor growing up, but you have had such an amazing career in public service, from being the youngest to serve on our Texas Supreme Court to going on to being the longest serving Attorney General. But I want to go back even further than that and ask you how you grew up and what inspired you to run for office in the first place.
Well, first of all, howdy. Great to be with y'all here today.
Woo.
And let's go back and give it up for Christian, who's doing such a great job of organizing and running this fabulous event. He says I am where I am today because he worked on my very first campaign for governor, knocking on doors, getting the vote out, making sure that we beat Wendy Davis at that time.
Ooh.
That tells me all I need to know right now. I can tell by the people who applauded, 90% of you really weren't alive at the time.
Yes.
But listen, if you want to know about my background, you can go to Wikipedia, you can go to your favorite search engine, whatever the case may be. You can easily learn that. Let me just tell you a couple of things that you would probably not find online, because it truly is what made me who I am today, and is something that I think we as a country and we as conservatives are really connecting with. For one, I was the son, or make that the grandson, of a country preacher. And so Christ and going to church was a part of my life from my earliest days. And I've felt that presence because it's, God and Jesus Christ are more than something that I believe in. They are someone I have a connection with. And I'll explain that to you more as I run through what happened in my life. Another thing that was of interest in my life was politics. I got interest in politics when I was in first grade. First time I won something in politics, and this continued on since then. And we lived in Longview, Texas at the time. It was a time when LBJ, Lyndon Johnson, was president of the United States. Some of you here today probably think that was back during the industrial age or something like that. It was more modern than that. But in my family, we drove around town with a Goldwater bumper sticker in Deep East, Texas. If you knew Texas politics at the time, Deep East, Texas was solid Democrat. We were probably the only Republican family in the entire area, but we were proud to let everybody in the community know that we were Republican, and it turned out we were Republican and conservative before the people of East Texas now have adopted it. Now East Texas is the most conservative part of the great state of Texas. Woo! Where we are right now in Montgomery County may be ground zero for conservatism in the great state of Texas. Then going on, I went to high school. In high school, I took a course in government, and I knew at that time that I really wanted to be heavily involved in politics. Then I went off to college, and I went to University of Texas, and I majored in political science. But I got to think, you know what, I don't know if this political science stuff's going to work out. And I thought maybe I needed to get a major in something more practical that maybe could lead to a job. And so I changed majors and got a degree in business finance. So I may be the only person who actually is a governor who actually quit a degree in government or political science for something else. And then after that, I went on to law school and began to lay the pathway to get involved in politics. And after graduating from law school, I moved near here to Houston, Texas. And 2 months after I moved here, I went out for a jog. I was 26 years old at the time. And when I was out jogging that day, that's when that massive oak tree, far taller than the roof in this building, crashed down onto my back, fracturing my vertebrae and my spinal cord, leaving me immediately paralyzed. And my mind, my heart, and my soul completely changed. I had no idea what the future was going to look like. Could have given up. Could have quit. But I learned something in going through that and recovering from that that's important, not just to me. It's important to you. It's important to what all of us do in the aftermath of what happened to Charlie Kirk. The motto I developed after that is that our lives are not defined or determined by how we are challenged. Instead, we, working with the grace of God, determine what our future is going to be like and not be tied to the past. We all must live along the lines of that mantra. And here's the way that it worked. With each passing day and year after my accident, I tried to stray from the discernment that was already in my heart before. I tried to do this, that, or the other that was, in a way, getting away from politics, getting away from government, getting away from service, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it. But it was the invisible hand of God's guidance who kept returning me to the pathway that was intended for me. And so let me bring that back to you now. That discernment, that leaning, that feeling in your heart is already in everybody in this room. You're not out watching some football game right now. You're not out at the shopping mall or doing something else. You're here because it is already part of your heart and soul, part of who you are, your own discernment at your time in life right now. And what I urge you to do is politics or government may remain or may not remain part of your life. But go through that discernment process with you and your God every single day. And as you do that, you're going to find yourself going down a pathway of happiness and fulfillment and service to make our state and our country even better. And the last thing I'll say about this, and that is, there truly is nothing more important than having people of the age set of those with us here today to be involved. You know, I got to hand it to you because you're far wiser, far quicker, far more savvy than we were when we were your age, because you've been able to see through the false promises of the Democrats, of the liberals, and of course the progressive left, and seeing the folly of what they stand for. And you already have core, strong, conservative beliefs at ages younger than most Americans, and that means it's going to be you that are going to be the leaders. The fact of the matter is we're at a time in our society when people such as myself, we're going to be handing that baton off to the next runner who must take that baton and run with that race. You must be ready to take that baton and run with it and lead our state and lead our country.
Thank you, Governor. And I'll add to that. You know, I started running for office when I was only 27 years old. And there was a group that helped me called Run Gen Z that Charlie Kirk actually helped start. And he encouraged them to start that group, and they helped me. And I want to go back for a second, Governor. You talk about passing along the baton. I'm already looking to pass the baton to the next generation. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for encouraging people like me, paving the way for people like me to run at a young age, because it does take that support. And going back to Charlie Kirk and the legacy that he left with us, I know we all feel that deeply. I'm the same age as Charlie Kirk was when he passed away, and I'm sure there are some of you out here today. And so we all feel that so deeply. And I think if you're like me, you're looking for ways to make an even bigger difference. And one of those things is sharing the gospel, talking about the Lord. I know I wouldn't be here without the Lord either. And so in the wake of all of that, what encouragement do you have for this crowd to make a difference in the wake of what we've seen after Charlie Kirk's passing?
Maybe the most important thing is to use words I've heard Charlie use words that I've heard his wife use. And that is the most important thing that you can do to fulfill what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. The most important thing you can do to make sure that his life continues to live on is never back down. Keep fighting. We must never give up, never get in, never be intimidated by the far left or the ideologues that people are trying to crush the voice of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's legacy is going to be based in part by what is done by the people in this very room today. We need you to remain involved, encouraged, bringing other people in, expanding your forces, and continuing to preach what he preached. Two large things. One is preach the gospel, preach the reality of Christ, preach what it means to be a Christian. And, you know, something that he candidly did better than anybody I've ever seen do. And that is he'll take any question. Remember his prove me wrong segments. That was my favorite. And build that attitude. Have a certain sense of certitude for your own beliefs and articulate those to others so that you're able to articulate to your peers, to others in wherever you live, the reason why you believe what you do and why it is the right belief. But I think all of us have been fortunate to benefit from Charlie Kirk's leadership, from his guidance, for what he stood for, and for his legacy. And now I'm so proud to see the way that his wife is picking up that torch and carrying that torch forward to ensure that that legacy is going to live on.
And when you talk about not backing down, that reminds me a little bit of this past session and some of the things we accomplished. We were talking earlier, and I keep a list of things that I call things I can't believe we had to do during the legislative session. One of those, I can't believe we had to say that men can't be in women's spaces, for example. And when you talk about not backing down, these are the things that we are in the fight to continue to make sure that the left woke does not take over. And so in the background of all of these accomplishments, even going back to the session before where we banned transgender surgeries on minors, significant achievements, and even going back to your time as Attorney General, what are some of these issues where you were involved, you were leading, and you thought, I can't believe that I get to be the governor or the attorney general leading on this issue? What are some of those highlights that you'd like to share with us?
So one is this is kind of just a matter of being in the right place at the right time. So when I was the Attorney General of Texas, there was an atheist who was walking across the Texas Capitol grounds. And on the Texas Capitol grounds, there is a monument about 8 feet high. And on that monument are the 10 Commandments. And the atheist filed a lawsuit in a federal court trying to tear down that monument. And I said, not on my watch as Attorney General will I allow the 10 Commandments to be torn down. And it turned into an event that I had actually longed for since I was in law school, because this was a case that went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. And at the United States Supreme Court, I had the opportunity to be the lawyer arguing for the state of Texas, arguing for the people of America, arguing for everyone who believes in God, to defend the Ten Commandments. The case right before ours that I was able to listen to while the arguments were taking place was a different case out of Kentucky, where in Kentucky they had displays in schools of the Ten Commandments. Kentucky lost their case. But the case I argued to the Supreme Court, I had a strategy to make sure that we would win. And I can tell you that when that decision came out in June of that year, Texas won, and that monument still stands on the Texas Capitol grounds today. Another thing where just events transpire that put you into a place where you have to step up and you got to do your part. It's like receiving that baton. Well, the baton was handed to me in a certain way when Joe Biden took office as President of the United States. There's been no one who did more damage to our country that I can think of than Joe Biden. One of the worst things he did for our country was to authorize, to give papers to more than 13 million people that he allowed into our country illegally, and what he did. But Texas stood up like no state has ever done in the history of the United States. Texas is the only state to build our own border wall. Remember those big orange buoys that we put into the Rio Grande to stop people from crossing? Judges told me that I had to remove them. I denied that. Those orange buoys remain in the river to this day to keep secure our border. The only state to build our own military base on the border, actually bases on the border, to house the thousands of National Guard that we had down there. National Guard who, by the way, were using every tool and technique to repel or to deny entry into our state. And because of what we were able to do, even before Trump took office, we were able to reduce illegal crossings into Texas by 87%. Woo. If I could deviate from the structure of your question and add something else, something that happened this year. And I think this is a way that Charlie talks so often. Charlie would talk about this issue or that issue. But he talked about the importance of being centered. You have to be centered in your life. And to have a center in your life, God must be at the center of that. But there are other things that keep you centered. For me, and I've seen the same thing from Charlie, one thing that kept both of us centered is we had daughters. I had a daughter that was my best friend. I was her best friend. It was the closest of relationships. And one of the most important events in her life took place earlier this year on March the 1st. And that's when I gave her away in marriage. It's an event that she and I had worked collaboratively on. And in my life, I've probably given something like 25,000 speeches. There's no speech I've ever given of such importance as the speech I gave on the night of her wedding. It meant the world to her, which is the sole goal. It meant the world to me. And to be able to have a bond like that with a child like that, that continues to be a remarkably close relationship, that keeps you centered and helps you understand what life in the Lord is all about in our lives.
And along those lines, you know, you're talking about your daughter, I also just want to thank you for all the work that you did for parents who unfortunately lost their daughters in the flooding that we saw, you know, on July 4th. And I appreciate your leadership and walking through that with those families. You know, the legislature can be confusing for members, but can you imagine as those family members were trying to determine what could be done to prevent things like this from happening to other people? And I know that they appreciated you guiding them along that way, and I know your relationship with your daughter helped you kind of encourage them and comfort them in that really tough time. So thank you, Governor. I know they appreciated that. Of course. Yes, absolutely. And I want to move on into a little bit more policy. I don't know if y'all know this, but the Governor Abbott has led us to win 13 consecutive Governor's Cups for the incredible work that he's done, I should say, for our Texas economy. If you didn't know, Texas has the 8th largest economy in the world if we were our own country. Pretty remarkable. And you know, for young people, I know you guys are thinking the same as myself. How are you going to get a job, afford a house, afford the life that your parents had? And I want to give you a chance, Governor, to talk about how the economic success of Texas is going to help this crew when they are going out to find a job, getting married, building their family, going out and looking to buy a house.
Happy to. So it shows in a way how politics or governance is so multifaceted. One thing that we care about is to live our Christian values as leaders. Another thing we care about is doing things like what you mentioned earlier, and that is try to eliminate woke from our schools or from our society. But another thing is we have to ensure economic opportunity for those who live here. And no state has done that more prolifically than has the state of Texas. To expand on a couple of things that Caroline mentioned about, she talked about the size of our economy. Let me help you understand this context. Right now, there are only 7 countries with an economy larger than Texas. United States, obviously, China, India, Japan, the United Kingdom, Germany, and France. If you guys keep up with the news of what's going on in France, they're falling apart. If you keep up with the news of what's going on in Texas, we are leading economically. I would not be surprised if sometime soon Texas surpasses France to have the 7th largest economy in the entire world. When that happens, don't you think we should come back to Montgomery County and have a big French fry cook-off and have fun with? There you go. There, freedom fries. So one thing that Caroline mentioned that you may not know what she was talking about. She talked about we've won the Governor's Cup for 13 years in a row. Well, what in the heck is the Governor's Cup? It's a trophy. It's an award that goes to the state that ranks #1 for economic development. And that's devised by metrics. It's not like, well, we think you're the best, we're going to give you this winning trophy. It is dependent upon the number of economic development projects, the amount of capital investment, the amount of new jobs. And to put this in context, Texas has been the national champion at economic development for 13 years in a row, peerless in the United States of America. Most importantly, for those here who may be working toward the age where you want to go into a job, Texas ranks #1 in the United States for the most new jobs. Texas is the state to go to if you're looking for a job. But a reason why we are leading economically is because Texas has continued to evolve, and we have the most diverse economy in the entire country. Doesn't matter what type of sector of the economy. Texas has abundant jobs and vast growth in those regions. But let me tell you, in part, where we are, but more importantly, where we are going. The types of jobs that are going to determine the future of our state, the future of our country, and the future of the world. One of those areas, as you are abundantly aware of, is artificial intelligence. Another area is going to be AI, robotics, everything involving things like that. Another area is going to be what's needed for those, and that's semiconductors. Well, and then the last area in that is space. Let me combine all these together. First, I'll tell you that in each of those categories, Texas is already leading, but also if you look at the trajectory of the investment that these companies are making into the state of Texas, we're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of every other state, ahead of other countries in each of those areas. One area, a component that's needed for everything that you use is in your pocket right now, in your hand right now, and almost everything that you use is a semiconductor. Texas has ranked #1 for semiconductor manufacturing and production in the United States for 10 years in a row. And that's before the new $44 billion Samsung facility in Austin, before the Texas Instruments facility, $30 billion project up in Sherman. Here's my point. When those projects come online and a few others come online, people aren't going to compare Texas to other states. There's going to be like Texas and Taiwan and maybe one or two other countries. We're going to be one of the international, not the international leader in the core component of semiconductors for the future, and we need semiconductor engineers and processors and people who work in that area, and we have an abundance of jobs. Second, artificial intelligence. There's many different aspects of this. The first thing that you got to do to have artificial intelligence, you have to have the power to have the AI data centers. And that leads to all the hyperscalers and things like that. Texas ranks #1 in the United States for the most power generation. In fact, if you add up the second and third states combined, Texas still has more than those two states combined. The reason why more AI data centers are coming to Texas than any other state is because we have that power, and we're adding to that power more rapidly than any other state. And then when you look at those AI data center projects, many of which are public right now, like Stargate, many of which are adding far more than that are not yet public information, you'll see that Texas, when you add the hyperscalers to those AI data center projects, Texas is going to lead in the production of the data center, the production of what the hyperscalers will be doing, and we will be at the forefront of the future of artificial intelligence right here. Last thing is space. There was a decision made in our economic development program several years ago to encourage an entity to locate in Texas that could have gone anywhere in the United States of America. This entity doesn't seek a profit. They seek to preserve and to perpetuate the future of the United States. And it's called the Army Futures Command. They wanted to locate in a place where they would be prepared for the future of battle, which is not going to be taking place in the Middle East or places like that. The future of battle has already taken place where it is, and that is in space and in cyberspace. And they located in downtown Austin, Texas, knowing that they were going to be within a 200-mile radius of all of our higher ed institutions, as well as the other personnel they have available to them, to make sure that the United States in its future are going to be in the vanguard of leading the fight in the development of artificial intelligence, of robotics, of cybersecurity and cyber forces. And we have the infrastructure in place now, and then we're adding the jobs to it. And so if you want to be involved in the future, whether it be the future of warfare, the future of the uses of these products, could be the future of drones, whatever the case may be. If you want to be involved in the future of space, as Elon Musk tells me, and as you know, SpaceX is headquartered in Texas, if I could get away with a crazy dad joke, my hope, the only way you'll get this joke is if you know who George Strait is here. Anybody here know who George Strait is? So I got Elon to move his Tesla here, and after he moved his Tesla company here, he moved all of his companies here. As you know, he bought Twitter, he renamed it X. So X is here, SpaceX is here. You may know Elon has a son named X. And so I tell people, all of Elon's exes live in Texas. Turned out better than I thought. Typically I get booed for something like that. But as Elon describes it, because I was talking to Elon about the future of NASA, which is just not too far from here. We have a big NASA headquarters. And he said, Governor, the future of space is not NASA. The future of space is here already. It's called SpaceX. It said 99% of all launches are done by SpaceX. And we worked with him to establish what he did. And that is, many of you have heard that SpaceX was being launched from Boca Chica. No more. No, not even that. We worked with Elon to help him create his own city, his own municipality, which was elected this past May. It's called Starbase Texas, the city in Texas where you see launches to the moon. This generation, the people I'm looking at right now, part of your future is to go far beyond the moon. Elon Musk is focused sincerely on reaching Mars during your lifetime, and you will be part of the generation that reaches for the stars and reaches Mars.
Well, thank you, Governor. And I've got to mention one other policy. When you talk about these amazing things happening in Texas, we all know that it takes a workforce, an educated workforce, for those things to happen. And I want to ask the crowd real quick, how many of you are in high school or college? Would you raise your hand? Okay, all right. Well, I want to talk for a second about the importance of school choice. And I really think we need to give it up to Governor Abbott for getting that accomplished this past session. Yes. And I know those of you who raised your hand, you have seen, I know you have, the wokeness of the left and what is happening in schools all across Texas, all across America, and how important it is to have school choice so that parents that cannot afford to take their kids to a different school, even though they know that their kids are facing this wokeness every single day they go to school, school choice empowers those parents and gives them a choice. And you guys will all have, if you don't have kids, you will have them one day. And because of the work that Governor Abbott has done, you will have that choice. So, Governor, will you just highlight that a little bit more and what an accomplishment that was?
So this was tough. And I look up and it looks like he's gone now. I thought I saw Steve Toth down there. Yeah. Steve Toth is there he is. So we worked together. Here, let me tell you, and worked with Caroline. Here's the deal. The reason school choice had not passed before this during my tenure as governor, even though I brought it up every session, is because the teacher unions had a vice grip on even Republicans in many areas across the state. And as Caroline will remember 2 sessions ago, I said this is a priority we have to pass. They didn't get it passed. I said, well, I'm going to call special session after special session until we do get it passed. I called 4 special sessions. The last one, I told all the legislators this. I said, we can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way. The easy way, just go ahead and pass it. If you don't do that, the hard way is, I'm going to use my financial capital and my political capital to go on the campaign trail and defeat whoever needs to be defeated to make sure that the desires of their own constituents who voted more than 90% for school choice, that those desires were going to be represented in Austin, Texas. And we took to the political battlefield, we won 15 seats, enough votes to ensure we delivered school choice to the families across the entire state of Texas. The last thing about this is to help everybody understand that school choice is hugely important for the students and very important for parental empowerment. But as I have explained, it's far bigger than that. As you've heard me say many times already today, Texas is #1 in so many categories, and if I told you all the different categories in which Texas is #1, we'd be here another half hour. Just know this. I'm the first governor to ever say that we're #1 in all these different ways. It's time we set our sights on another #1. Texas should be #1 in educating our kids, and school choice is a part of that solution.
Well, Governor, I look forward to helping you accomplish that in future sessions, and that is all the time that we have today. Would you all please give it up one more time for our incredible Governor Greg Abbott?
Thank you very much. God bless you all, and God bless the great state of Texas.
Hello, Texas Youth Summit. How are you? You doing good? My name is Brandon Deal, and I am the high school student director for Christians United for Israel, or we call ourselves KUFI. I'm not from Texas. I'm learning a lot being here with you these few days. When I was in elementary school, there was a family that was really close with ours, and they would be over at our house quite often. I remember very vividly their middle daughter would wear this shirt all the time. And some point I said, why do you wear this shirt all the time? Is it your favorite? She informed me that a family member had been on a trip and brought it back. It was kind of like a souvenir. Well, that was years and years and years ago. Would you like to see a replica of the shirt that she was wearing all the time? I've got one thumb up. I got two. Here we go. Here's what she would wear all the time. Don't mess with Texas. All the time. Don't mess with Texas. Anybody want a shirt? Anybody want a shirt here? There you go. Don't mess with Texas. You know what I love? I love seeing students in the same room with similar passions, similar beliefs, similar goals in Texas. You know, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, a proud American. I have conservative views, and what gives me hope is seeing each and every single one of you. This generation rising up. Students, right now, stand to your feet just for a second. Come on, students across the room, stand up. You are not settling for a broken system that's built on lies. You are pushing for the truth. You're demanding the truth. You're holding to the truth. And thank you for letting us know that this generation will not be silent, and you're not going to go with the status quo. You are going to be the generation that does exceptional things. At Christians United for Israel, we are motivated by biblical values and pride in America. We stand with the truth in hand that God is faithful and His covenants are everlasting. We believe that when God promised Abraham in Genesis 12 that he should have descendants that would become a nation, and that God would bless those who bless Abraham's descendants and curse those who curse them, that promise has no expiration date. Even in the New Testament, in Romans 11, Paul tells the church that God has not rejected His own people, the nation of Israel. Paul says that through God's kindness and not by their good works, that God has chosen these people of Israel. Through the Bible, we read the hardships of the Jewish people faced when contending for the promise that God had communicated to them to have their land and to worship the one true God. The people of Israel, the Jewish people, lived on beyond the stories of the Bible, but sadly, the hatred they faced in biblical times didn't vanish away either. The Jews faced religious persecution in Europe, in the Middle East, and not to mention the unimaginable inhumanity of the 6 million Jewish people murdered in the Holocaust. Today, Israel is the other lone star state. It's an outpost for freedom and democracy in the Middle East. Religious freedom, free speech, freedom of the press, democratic elections. That's why I love America. Israel stands right there with those values. Not to mention that Israel is the one country in the Middle East where Christians can worship freely and openly. Yes, in contrast to the rest of the Middle East, the Christian population is growing, while in other countries in the Middle East, people are freeing and leaving because of persecution. It's almost been 2 years since the Iranian-sponsored Hamas terrorist group attacked Israel's borders by land, air, and sea. October 7th, 2023, Hamas terrorists attacked Israeli villages and the music festival site, brutally killing 1,200 people in unspeakable ways. Adding to the horror, the murder, the torture, the rapes committed on that day, 240 people were kidnapped and taken hostage to Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. As Christians, as Americans, we must stand in solidarity as we remember the tragedy of October 7th, 2023. We must remember those 1,200 precious lives that were cut down by terrorists, and also remember the 240 hostages taken by Hamas. Do you know that of the over 1,200 that were murdered, 32 were American citizens? Of the 240 hostages, 8 were American citizens. Hamas supporters in the West, they hate the Jewish people. They hate the Western values. They hate America. That's why they burn our flag. Let's be clear. To be pro-Hamas is to be anti-America. But to be pro-Israel is to be pro-America. It's that simple. Now is the time to take a stand. At Christians United for Israel, we are proud Americans. We're proud to stand with Israel and the Jewish people. Texas Youth Summit, we stand with you. Come by our table and speak with us. God bless you. God bless Texas, and God bless America. And one more thing, don't mess with Texas.
To all the great patriots at the Texas Youth Summit today, I have an important message for you. I want to start up my speech by first opening and honoring my wonderful friend and mentor, Charlie Kirk. We are living through a time of trial, a time where truth is under attack, where our values are mocked, and where enemies of freedom believe they can intimidate us into silence. But let me tell you something. They will never silence us, because the American people, and especially the young people in this movement, are rising, stronger than ever before. Charlie Kirk's assassination was meant to break us. It was meant to send fear into our hearts and convince the next generation to sit down and shut up. But it did the opposite. It lit a fire. And I have seen with my own eyes the fire burning in the hearts of students across this country. They know now more than ever that the culture war is real and that they are called to be catalysts to fight, to speak, and to lead. The left has controlled the universities, the media, and Hollywood, until now. They want to erase our history, tear down our families, and strip the faith from public life. But they didn't count on this, an army of young patriots who believe in God, love of America, and refuse to surrender their future. To every young person listening, hear me clearly. The torch has been passed to you. You are the ones who will carry this movement forward. You are the ones who will push back when they try to rewrite our textbooks and when they try to cancel your faith. When they try to tell you that America is evil, you are the ones who will make sure Charlie's legacy is not death, but revival. Our job as leaders is to empower you, to tell you that your voice matters, your courage matters, your conviction matters. We need you to run for office, to build businesses, to write books, to shape the culture, not someday, but now. Because a culture war is not coming, it's here. And it will be won or lost on whether young patriots like you step forward in boldness. So stand tall, be loud, be unafraid. Because when the history of this generation is written, it will not be remembered for its silence. It will be remembered for its courage. The radical left thought that they could kill a man and kill a movement, but instead they awakened a generation. The future of America does not belong to the radical left. It belongs to young patriots who love this country, love freedom, and refuse to surrender the values that make us who we are. And if we stand together, if we empower our youth to lead, then I promise you, this will not only be the fact that we win the culture war, we will save the republic for our children and their children to come. Thank you, God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
Well, howdy, y'all. How is everyone doing? Now, are there any conservatives in the room? Okay, now, are there any student conservatives in the room? High school, college? Okay, amazing. Well, I'm so excited to be here. I look forward to this event every single year, the Texas Youth Summit. My name is Carly Tomaine. I'm the director of the J. Henges Center for Youth Leadership at Leadership Institute. And my role is to travel the country, identify top conservative leaders, just like you guys, at high schools, in colleges, and beyond, and train them on how to be effective for what they believe in. We have a great booth this weekend, and I have some of the best faculty and staff with me, so I encourage you to check us out. We're also giving away a $100 Cavender's gift card to one lucky winner, so if you have not filled out that survey yet, please go ahead and do so. But I did want to just share a couple thoughts I had and offer some resources that we can offer you guys from Leadership Institute. So over the year, I look forward to events like this. I get so excited to meet young conservatives. I get excited to meet just other conservatives in general. Because I don't know about some of you, but when I was in college, I really thought that it was me against the world. I didn't think there were other conservatives there. And what I've seen, given the horrific events that have just occurred, is that now more than ever, I find myself in no way alone. And I hope you guys at your universities and your schools also start feeling that way. The signs I've seen, the messages I've seen, and given everything that's happened, I've never felt more fire in my belly than now to go out there and be effective and actually win and carry on Charlie's legacy. So I hope that this fall semester and this next school year and going forward forevermore, we carry on that legacy and do what it takes to win. But you can't win without the proper training. And that's where Leadership Institute can step in and help you guys. So to share some opportunities for y'all, we have some great programs coming up this fall semester. We have our premier rigorous elite training for the best of the best, our Youth Leadership School. And we're going to be doing 2 of those programs on land and 2 of those programs at sea aboard cruise ships. So if you are interested in learning more about those programs, please find us at the table. I'm also here to share that we have full scholarships available, which will cover all your costs to get there. So I really hope those of you who are not LI graduates, you take advantage of those opportunities. We also have some great campus resources. I know that I've already met so many students and I've got to see so many of who I would call my friends out there that I've trained before. And I really hope you take advantage of the resources LI has. We have on-campus mentorship. We have activism kits so that you can go out there and stand for your values, for the conservative movement on campus. We also have great staff that will help you on campus. So if you're someone who's looking to start a group, maybe you're motivated now more than ever to do so, please use us. Let us help you win on campus. But if you're not a student, there are so many opportunities for you to get great training from experts in the movement. Leadership Institute has intense courses from 3-hour trainings all the way up to 9-day programs. And for some of those higher-end programs, we still offer those scholarships to adults. So if you are looking to become more effective for what you believe in, but rather if you are fed up with what is happening out there in the country, and if you were in any way moved by the crowd that I saw last night here celebrating a man that I looked up to since my first day in politics, if that excites you and that motivates you, then what you need to do is stand for him, and you need to learn how to be effective. So I really hope that you guys embark on a great journey going forward. I think if we stand together, there's so much that we can accomplish. And I don't know about you guys, but I've loved hearing from all the speakers and listening to what they had to say. Texas is a great example of where we can of how we can turn this country into an amazing country with so many great opportunities for everybody. And so I hope that you guys are at the forefront of that game. But check us out at Leadership Institute. We're outside in the hall, and I hope to meet those of you I haven't yet a little later today. But enjoy the rest of your Texas Youth Summit. Thanks, everybody.
The Democratic Party's the evil party. There's no God in that party. Ukraine and Russia is not our fight. To do another endless war, 20 years in Afghanistan, and look at how we withdrew out of Afghanistan. Parents don't know what it's like to sit there and pray every night that their child comes home in one piece and not in a transfer case. They're trying to do anything to discredit our movement, and we're not going anywhere. Is there a mic out there? Oh, yeah. So I don't know if a lot of you guys know who I am. You probably know who my dad is. His video played last night. But I'm Maureen Bannon. I'm CEO of War Room. I'm a 2010 West Point graduate, an Iraq War veteran, and the youngest presidential appointee to the West Point Board of Visitors. So when I was asked to speak here, I had a whole speech prepared. But then on September 10th at 12:23 p.m. Mountain Time, a coward who is an evil human being hunted down my friend and assassinated him in cold blood. So my speech has clearly changed. As my dad says, we're at war. We're not in a civil war, we're in a spiritual war. We're in a war of good versus evil. Ironically, that's left versus right, because we're the party of good and the Democrats are the party of evil. They want to mutilate children. They want to hunt you down in cold blood if they don't agree with what you have to say, and we're not going to stand for it. We are going to keep fighting, and we're going to carry on what Charlie gave his life for. So in the last interview Charlie gave before he went to Utah Valley University and went on stage, he was asked in the final question of his speech, what are two quotes you live by? And as we all know, Charlie was very religious. Ironically enough, the first was not a Bible verse, but the second was. It was Romans 8:28, and it says, and we know that for all those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Charlie had a purpose. He was awakening the youth in this country, not only to get back to church or to even have a relationship with Jesus, but also to stand up for this country and fight to save this country. The last weekend of Charlie's life, some of you guys have probably seen it going around social media, but he spoke in Korea. Now, Charlie didn't really travel a lot overseas, but he saw that there was a fight that needed to happen in Korea, and it could be related to the fight we have here in the United States. And in his speech, well, he spoke twice in Korea, but his final speech in Korea, they prayed over him on the stage. He saw good in them, and he saw good in this country and fought for this country. Charlie wanted to make heaven crowded, and Charlie, as a friend, he is making heaven crowded. People are waking up. We realize that we have to get back to a relationship with Jesus. That is who we answer to. So if you have not, which I have a feeling probably a lot of you have, picked up a Bible, gone back to church. If you haven't, I highly encourage you to get a Bible, go to Mass, go to church. That's what Charlie would have wanted, and that's one way we can honor him. The other way we can honor Charlie is picking up the mic and continuing the fight that he gave his life for. Get involved. He wanted the youth to get involved. My dad, my generation, we've gotten involved. We're fighting this battle to save this country, but it comes down on the youth in this country. And if you don't know how to get involved, and a lot of you might not be of voting age, so going out to vote or getting registered to vote is not something that you can do right now. Get involved in someone's campaign at the local level, school board, state level, federal level. That's a way you can change this country, and that's a way to honor Charlie's legacy. There's a saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. So when you leave here today, ask yourselves, what is your step going to be? What are you going to do to save this country? This movement cannot rely on your grandparents, your parents. It relies on you as the youth. You need to get involved. You need to do what you can to save this country. You can't expect someone else to save it for you. You have to save this country. And if you are of voting age, work on getting people registered to vote. President Trump was elected because of the youth male vote. We need to make sure that we get the youth female vote up. President Trump did get an increase in female youth vote, but we need to increase the female youth vote. If you are of legal voting age, make sure you are registered to vote. Make sure your family members are registered to vote. Do what you can to help people get involved. Make sure that they have a plan. We're not just concerned about 2028 and who is going to be president in 2028. The midterms are coming up before we know it. And we cannot allow the left to have control of this country. We've seen what the left has done to this country in the last administration, and we see what they've done to Charlie Kirk. Had they not indoctrinated our children, then a sick individual would not have hunted down Charlie in cold blood. So we cannot allow them to win. We have to make sure that we continue this movement that Charlie gave his life for, and we are going to do that through you, the youth. And another way to carry on his legacy is to never let people forget who Charlie Kirk was. The left wants to call him a racist, a bigot, sexist, all these things. He gave so many sound advice in his clips. So go back. I encourage you to go back and look at his Instagram page, his social media pages. Go listen to his speeches. He inspired the youth, and you need to watch his speeches to help share that information. At War Room, we always say be a force multiplier. Go back and spread this message to people that might not agree with you. They'll eventually open their eyes. They'll see good versus evil. They'll realize that we are in a fight to save this country, and they want to be on the right side of history. And being with the Democratic Party is not the right side of history. And what you can do is make sure, as long as you have breath in your lungs and blood in your veins, you do not let people forget who Charlie Kirk was. You do not let them forget what he fought for. You continue that on. You do what you can. Like I said, get involved, even if it's at the local level. Even if you don't know what you can do, reach out to your school board, your state representative, your congressional representative, your senator. Get involved in their offices, their campaigns. I know we saw a video from Representative Paulina Luna. One of her staffers started out as an intern and is now one of the biggest staffers that she has in her whole office. So you can make a difference no matter what age you are. Do not forget that. And like I said, do not let Charlie Kirk legacy die. As long as you have breath in your lungs, continue to speak that message. Continue to fight for the right to be on the right side of history and what is good in this country. And this movement will continue on for years to come. Thank you, guys. I have a whole 10 minutes to spare.
great. You were great. Like dip sauce is gonna fly.
Wesley Hunt.
Great Wesley Hunt.
Congressman Wesley Hunt.
Thank you, Texas. Love you. Love you, Texas.
Right now, we are witnessing a historic and devastating wave of migrants taking the lives of one innocent American after another.
A president's greatest responsibility is to protect the American people. And both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have failed.
12 of those years have been under Democrat rule. So they can't run on their record. They can't run on the economy. They can't run on jobs. They can't run on making the lives of black people better. The only thing that they can run on is race.
Together, we will make America great again. Thank you, Bert. Frederick Douglass famously said, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." Those who profess freedom, yet depreciate agitation, are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. The struggle may be a moral one or a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical, but there must be a struggle. For power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. We have struggled this past week mightily with the loss of Charlie. But events like this and young people like you will be the progress of this great nation. It's voices like yours and leaders like me that will continue to speak out. And even if it means my life, I'm here to tell you one thing. I'm here on borrowed time anyway. I was an Apache pilot flew 55 combat air missions in Baghdad. I'm not supposed to be here, but for whatever reason, God spared my life. Thank you. Thank you. And if for whatever reason, God chooses to bring me to meet him before I think my time is up, I'm okay with that, because I will not stop fighting for you. I will not stop fighting for our conservative values, and I will stand in the line and in the gap no matter what. That's what Charlie did for us, and that is what we owe him. You see, they made a big mistake here, because I believe they have awakened a sleeping giant. Voices like us, voices like mine, we will not quit, and we will multiply tenfold. And this is going to be a problem for the left here. This is going to be a problem in generations to come. And this is why it is imperative for you young people to get in the fight as soon as possible. Stay in the fight, because the very structure and the very nature of this nation depends on you and depends on our future. The reason why I get up in the morning and I do what I do every single day, you see, I have 3 little kids at home. I have a 6, I have a 4, and I have a 2-year-old. And last year I was on 135 flights flying back and forth to D.C. I love my family. I love my children. I love my country. But I gotta get on those flights and I gotta fight for you, because if I don't, there may not be an America left for them. And every time I get on that flight and I kiss them goodbye, someday I want them to know that Daddy left this place better than he found it. This is not just my moral imperative, it's your moral imperative. You've got to leave this place better than you found it. And by the grace of God, we are Texans as well. So it's even more important for us Texans to lead from the front, because we are the biggest, we are the baddest, we are the largest. We have the most pride, and we are going to lead this country to righteousness for the future, so we can achieve a more perfect union like our forefathers wanted. My great-great-grandfather was named by the man by the name of Silas Crawford. My great-great-grandfather was born on a plantation. He was born on Rosedown Plantation. Rosedown Plantation is about 30 miles north of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Rosedown Plantation exists today. Not just me, but my brother and my sister, all 3 of us, we all went to West Point. We all graduated from West Point. We all served our country. At one point in 2006, my brother, sister, and I were all deployed in Baghdad at the same time. We had praying mothers, you could probably imagine. But you can imagine someone like me and thinking about my great-great-grandfather and 3 of his great-great-grandchildren are going to West Point, achieving multiple master's degrees from Ivy League schools. One of his great-great-grandchildren became a United States congressman in a white majority district in Texas that President Trump would have won by 20 points, and I won by 27 points. That's the progress I'm talking about. That is America. Do not let them call you racist. Do not let them call you fascist. That's not who we are. The only thing that we want is to put American priorities first. And I don't care what you look like. I don't care where you are from. Because my story, from a plantation to a congressman, is not just my story. It's America's story. I've been black for like 40 years. I've been a conservative. I grew up in a conservative home. I grew up in a Southern Baptist conservative home. And when I look at the values that have been instilled in us today, these are the values of our party. Do not let the left continue to divide us along ideological lines. Do not allow the left to silence you. Do not allow the left to take your voice away. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because that's not what I fought for. That's not what 14 of my West Point classmates died for. And it's not what Charlie was murdered for and assassinated for. Don't let them do it. But in the vein of Texas and in the vein of this spirit and warrior ethos, I can tell you one thing. I am not concerned. Whenever I walk in rooms like this and I see young conservatives continuing to stand up and fight, it's invigorating for me. It keeps me on the path. It keeps me strong. It keeps me on God's trail. And I wake up every day knowing that we will have a brighter future. We will have a more perfect union. The struggle that we had, you will be our progress. I'm confident in that. but we need you in the game and we need you in the fight. Now, my brother, sister, and I went to West Point, so you could probably imagine I have a ton of West Point stories. But my favorite one is the story of Trophy Point. Trophy Point is a monument that sits right on West Point, overlooking the Hudson River as it makes a meandering western bend. At one point, Trophy Point was the largest single piece of granite for a structure in the entire world. Surrounding Trophy Point is Civil War era cannons that are buried into the ground muzzle first. Why? Imagine during the Civil War, and if you were a West Point graduate during that era, you would leave West Point and you would fight for the North if you were from the North, and you would fight for the South if you were from the South. Imagine spending 4 years with your classmates, eating together, training together, learning together, entering a country that was ripping itself to pieces, and you found yourself killing your fellow classmates. The reason why those cannons are buried into the ground muzzle first is to commemorate the notion that we Americans will never aim our cannons at another American again. The radical left is aiming these cannons at us. The radical left are aiming these cannons at Charlie Kirk. That's why he's no longer with us. It is incumbent upon us to rip those cannons from the left and bury them back into the ground where they belong so we can be a more perfect union. The military gives you a lot of resolve, as you could probably imagine. You see, I flew 55 combat air missions in Baghdad as an Apache helicopter pilot. And before every single mission, I said the Lord's Prayer, because I wanted to get right with God in case that was my final flight. I wanted to get right with God if I didn't make it back. And I remember before I would do pre-flight, I would kneel down near that tail rotor, and I would pray to God. And I would say the Lord's Prayer. And I would get into that Apache because I took an oath to defend this country against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And if I don't do my job, then that means somebody on the ground might not make it home, and that was not going to happen on my watch. I feel the same way about Congress. You see, I get up in the morning, I say my prayers to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and thank him for another day, and thank him for the opportunity that I have to represent roughly 1 million of my fellow Texans and my fellow Americans in the halls of Congress. I thank God every day that I have the opportunity to take Texas to D.C. and not D.C. to Texas. And that fight, in the vein of Davy Crockett and James Bowie and Sam Houston, that fight, that Texas fight, is something that we will never relinquish. And this is why we here in Texas have to, and we will, lead from the front when it comes to making sure that we keep conservative values in everything that we do. President Trump has done one heck of a job as our president, right? People ask me, Wesley, you know, what's on the docket today? What are you going to do today in Congress? And I look at them and I say, I'm just going to watch Fox News and see what the president does and then just follow suit. He is moving so quickly, he is moving so rapidly because he knows we have 4 years to get over the ills of what we saw during the Biden administration, and we have a lot of fixing to do. But look at what's happened. They have nothing to stand on. Why? Well, just like that, abracadabra, our border is fixed. Do you remember when the left were complaining about the tariffs and the tariff war? Where are they at now? I guess that worked too. the Fed's now lowering rates. Surprise, surprise. You know, what's really interesting is I live in our nation's capital half of the year in Washington, D.C., and you could imagine that for a while there, it was one of the crime capitals of the United States of America. So what do? We use the National Guard to clean our streets up. There hasn't been a murder in 3 weeks. And the left is so insane that they are actually speaking out against Americans being alive. You see, there should be 15 people dead by now, and they're not, because we have a president that wants to put American citizens first. But wait, there's more. But now they want to call him racist. But here's the problem. You see, D.C., it's a minority-majority city, so really, he's protecting black lives. So do our lives really matter to the left or not? We have got to cut through the narrative. Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk turkey here. And because you are in events like this, you're hearing the truth. You are hearing the truth of God-fearing, Bible-based leaders who God has placed in these moments and times just like these to fight for our nation and to fight for a more perfect union. And God we trust, e pluribus unum, of many one. This is what God wants for all of us. He doesn't want division. He doesn't care what you look like. He doesn't care about your race, religion, color, creed. He doesn't care where you're from. The only thing he wants is to treat us with respect, because God has had his hand on this nation since its inception. And we have to ensure that God keeps his hands on us. And as long as the faithful continue to stand up and speak out and be that strong oak that stands in the wind to represent him and his kingdom, as long as we continue to do that, then Jesus will not leave his people. But the second we stop, well, Houston, we have a problem. And that's why we're not going to stop. The greatest honor of my life is having the opportunity to serve in the halls of Congress in the community that I grew up in. I grew up in Champion Forest Baptist Church, not far from here, actually. Grew up in Spring, Texas. I graduated from high school at a private school called St. John's. Do you know that the northern part of my district is Tomball, Spring, and Cypress, where I grew up, and the southern border of my district is the high school that I grew up in? I had no idea that every day I drove 1 hour, one way, every single day to attend school, and that would be the exact same drive that would represent the northern and southern border of the district that I'd represent. Tell me God doesn't have a plan for our lives. Oh, but it's not easy. There's going to be trials and tribulations. There's going to be tests. God does that because he wants you to lean on him. If it were easy, then you wouldn't need him. But it's in those darkest times, like we are living in right now, that we must continue to rely and lean on Jesus. The most proud I've been in a very tumultuous week and a half has been this. After Charlie was assassinated, did our country burn to the ground? Were there riots? Was there looting? Was there killing? What did we do? We prayed for his soul. That's the kind of response that Jesus wanted. It will continue to be our response. And we will be steadfast and loyal to this country and stand in the wind of the wicked. I promise you that. And what we saw in this past few weeks and what we saw this last week
was Christians standing up for something that we believe in, not turning to violence, turning to Jesus, and we will be rewarded for it. I promise you that. Teddy Roosevelt famously said, "It is not the critic that counts, nor how the man points out how the strong man stumbles, nor how the doer of deeds could have done them better. But the credit belongs to the man who was actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who actually strives to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms and the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, even if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls that neither know victory nor defeat." I am asking you all to join Charlie and to join me and to join the conservative movement and get in the arena. And no matter what the cost, no matter what the price, you could lay your head down that night knowing that you stood for something. And when you're on your deathbed, you could lay down on your deathbed and you could know that you fought for something. And you could know that you preserved our union and made a more perfect one. God bless you all. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for your support. God bless this country. Thank you.
We are going to continue to demand full defunding of the abortion industry in the United States.
And I remember wondering, is it that the organization is changing, or is it that now I'm just so high up in the organization, I'm finally seeing what we've been about all along? This organization that I had dedicated my life to, were they really the people working with Warren Buffett's charities to exterminate the minority population through his fund called the Justice Fund?
In an FBI profiler way, they're actually serial killers.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Fighting Texas Aggie class of 01, so howdy. So good to be here with all of you, and I love coming here every year, and I love fighting for life. And I only have like 20 minutes to talk to you, and so as I was driving up here from the Austin area, I was thinking, what am I going to tell these young people about abortion in 20 minutes? And so for those of you that don't know me, don't know anything about me, my name is Abby Johnson. I worked at Planned Parenthood for 8 years of my life. I was an abortion clinic director. I left almost 16 years ago, actually, after witnessing a live abortion on an ultrasound-guided abortion procedure, and I witnessed a 13-week-old baby fight and struggle for his life during that abortion procedure, and I watched his body be torn into pieces. And I knew then that on that ultrasound screen, I had not witnessed choice. I had not witnessed reproductive freedom. I had not witnessed any sort of reproductive justice, any of the things that we were calling abortion at that time. I knew that what I had witnessed on that ultrasound-guided abortion screen was murder. And I knew that I had to flee that abortion clinic because Scripture says that we do not cooperate with evil, we flee from it. And so I ended up leaving the abortion industry, and honestly, I wanted to just go and hide somewhere. I had no desire to go out in front of a group of people and share that I had participated in over 22,000 abortions during my time at Planned Parenthood. I had no desire to go out and publicly tell people that I had murdered 2 of my own children. How embarrassing, how shameful. And I had no desire to tell anybody about anything that I had done at Planned Parenthood. I just kind of wanted to slink away and go live my life and be a therapist and just do those things that I had been educated to do. But Planned Parenthood sued me because they did not want me to talk about all of the things that I had seen and all of the things that I knew were taking place inside of the abortion industry. And when they sued me, that ended up making its way into the Associated Press. And the press then started asking questions. Well, like what does Abby Johnson know about the abortion industry that you don't want us to know as the media? And they started asking me questions about my story, and I started talking. I've been talking ever since. And so I want to talk to you for a few minutes today about things I've learned and things I know about abortion and things I know about this movement. Roe v. Wade was overturned several years ago, and everybody was really celebrating. You know, oh, this is going to be the big thing that ends abortion in the United States. And I really wish that were true. I wish I could stand up here and tell you that was it. That was what did it. That's what ended abortion. But it wasn't, was it? You may not know how bad abortion is now in the United States. You may not even know how bad abortion is in the state of Texas because you have been lied to for the past few years. All of the pro-life legislative groups in the state of Texas have been telling you since Roe was overturned that abortion is illegal in our state. Most pro-life legislative groups in the state of Texas have been telling you that there are virtually 0 abortions taking place in the state of Texas. I'm here to tell you that is a lie. You are being lied to almost each and every day. There are tens of thousands of abortions still taking place in the state of Texas. Actually, what we know to be true is there are more abortions taking place in the state of Texas now that abortion is supposedly illegal, than there were when abortion was legal in the state of Texas. There are more abortions taking place now that Roe has been overturned than there were when Roe was still in place. And you say, how is that possible, Abby? How can that be? Abortion is illegal. How can that be? All right, I'm going to ask you a question. This is going to take a little audience participation. Let's say you are on your way to your favorite concert. You're the musician you love, and you're on your way to their concert, and you cannot find a parking spot. Okay? And here is this parking spot. It opens up right in front of the door where you need to go. You need to walk into this door. And it says there's a sign that says no parking, but if you park there, there's going to be a $10 fine. That's it. You're going to get a $10 fine, but you're going to be able to walk right in to the concert that you need to go into. How many of you would take the chance, park in that spot for a $10 fine? I mean, most of us, right? Like, we'd pay the $10 fine. Right? I would, honestly. Now, if there was a sign in that same spot that said, if you park here, you're going to get a $10 fine, plus you might go to prison. How many of you would still park in that parking spot? Nobody? No takers? Okay, that is exactly what is taking place today in the state of Texas and all around our nation. And I'm going to talk specifically about the state of Texas because you live in the state of Texas, probably, as do I. In the state of Texas right now, our state is trying desperately to regulate abortion away. But you cannot regulate murder out of your state. That's impossible. That's impossible. And some of you may be clapping and you may be like, I don't even know what she means by that. You cannot regulate abortion away. You cannot regulate murder. Because murder is just wrong, right? Is abortion murder or not? Yes. But here in the state of Texas, it's only considered murder if someone kills the child outside of the mother. The mother is allowed to kill her child. No one else is. Is that right? Well, why not? That's been the standard set inside of the pro-life movement for the past 50 plus years. No one else can murder a child in the womb unless the mother decides herself she wants to murder her child. Now, we've had many, many cases over the past few years where chemical abortion is available to women. They can get it online. They can type in some information. They can type in fake information, actually. They can type in any information they want. They can type in a fake date of birth. They can type in a fake name. They don't even have to be a woman to do it. A guy can do it. A guy can type in any information. He can get those pills sent to his house. And he can take those pills and he can slip them into his girlfriend's drink. And that girlfriend will then have an abortion. And her baby will die. And he will be charged with murder. And he should, right? Because that's murder, right? But if the mother does it herself, and she takes the pills herself, and she goes online and she types in, I want to have an abortion, and she takes those pills and she takes them herself, and she aborts her baby and she flushes that baby down the toilet, it's suddenly not murder. Does that make sense? And just recently, you've probably already heard about it, just recently there was a bill that was passed, and Governor Abbott signed it. And I was just recently told by a state legislator in the state of Texas that this is going to end chemical abortion. That is a lie. It will not end chemical abortion. You know why? Because it is only a bill to continue to regulate murder. When are we as a society, when are we as Texans going to finally stand up and say, abortion is murder, let's treat it as murder? I know you've been sitting here for the past 2 days, last night and today, and you've been sitting here and you've been listening to people talk about all these different things, you know, all these different things that make up conservatism. And you've been hearing it from a Christian perspective. I believe that nothing hurts the heart of our Creator, nothing hurts the heart of our Father more than abortion. He gives us this gift, and he puts it inside of the womb of a mother. And she takes that gift and she puts that gift in the trash. Or in this case, the toilet. And she flushes that gift away. And then we as a movement, we do and say nothing. We say, well, at least this bill will save, maybe 100 babies. Well, it'll save a few. Well, I'm not interested in saving a few. I'm interested in saving them all. This is the core issue for conservatism. This is it. It is not guns. It is not taxes. It is not sovereignty. It's not any of those things. The right to life supersedes any and every issue you think conservatism is about. This is it. This is the issue. Because taxes don't matter if you are killing the taxpayers. Nothing else matters if you are killing the people who are supposed to be living among you. And not just killing them, murdering them. I have watched what abortion looks like. I have seen it with my own eyes. I work with people every single day who have worked in abortion clinics and have seen what murder is, have seen what abortion clinics are doing to these babies. It is not choice. It is not reproductive justice. It is certainly not health care. We just had a woman come through our organization a couple months ago. She worked at an abortion facility, and a baby had been born alive at the clinic where she worked. And the mother was sedated. Baby was born alive. And this worker that came to us said, well, we need to call an ambulance so that we can try to preserve the life of this baby, right? Because now we have two patients. We have the woman on the table, and we have this little baby. This is what we should do. We should try to preserve the life of this child. And as she's arguing with the nurse in the room about calling an ambulance, the nurse picked up a scalpel off the tray and stabbed the baby in the heart and killed it instantly. Is that murder? Yeah, it's murder. We had another worker who came to us, shaken, because a baby was born alive in her clinic. And the baby was crying as it was born alive. The doctor said, I need this baby to shut up. So he took the baby's head and he twisted it until it popped off. Is that murder? Then it's time to act like it. There's a hotel that's contracted with Planned Parenthood Planned Parenthood's across the street from this hotel. A couple walked in to their hotel room. They were putting all their stuff away, and they looked into the trash can in their bathroom. There was a dead baby in their trash can. They went out into the hallway. The housekeeper was out there, and they said, "What? There's something in our trash can." The housekeeper got all kerfluffled, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I meant to take that out." And the wife said, "But is that what I think it is? Is that a baby in the trash can?" And she said, "Oh yes, I'm so sorry. We're contracted with Planned Parenthood across the street. The women take the abortion pills and they come here and they deliver their babies here." She said, "I just forgot to take that one out." We live in a world now where every bathroom, every public bathroom, every dorm, every bathroom in your home, every bathroom is now potentially an abortion facility. We do not live in a world where the unborn are safe any longer. We live in the world where the unborn are potentially endangered. And no one else is going to stand up for them and speak for them except for us. They cannot do it themselves. It must be us. And so it may be weird, it may be awkward. You may be the weird kid on campus. You may be the weird kid at your high school. You may be that kid that everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, they're always talking about abortion." That may be you. I hope it is. Because you are the pro-life leaders that we need right now. There are children's lives who are depending on it right now. They need you. Abortion is not going away. We are not going to be able to regulate it out of our state. I don't want to regulate it. I want to end it. I want to end this slaughter. And if you want to end it, I hope that you will stand up and be brave and be countercultural. This is the time, friends. This is the time, young people. Stand up. Say something. You could be the difference between a woman choosing life and death for her child. Now is the time. Be that awkward kid. Be the one that's always talking about abortion. Be the one that's starting the groups in your campus, on your campus. Be the one that's always going to the Rally for Life. Be the one. Be the one who is always saying, yes, abortion is wrong. Yes, abortion is murder. And anytime you can, call it what it is. It is murder. It is not health care. And when someone, anyone, even in your proximity, even in your earshot, tries to tell you that abortion is health care, you look in the face and you say, no, it is not. It is murder. Hold people accountable. Friends, that's what conservatism is. It is holding people accountable for their actions. And abortion is murder. Hold people accountable. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
All right, North Korean defector, but now American citizen, Yeonmi Park. Talking to Yeonmi Park with Yeonmi Park.
I came to this country now I call home. But something I found was so alarming and shocking. More than 70% of millennials thinking that socialism is something that America can take. This ideology literally can ruin our country, our future, and our family. This person was also pretty much like me when I was in North Korea. Now this person thinks their oppression is somehow their pronouns. They are making problems out of nowhere, creating injustice out of thin air.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Wow. What an honor to be back at the Texas Youth Summit. Whenever I come back here, I literally feel like coming back to my family. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. My name is Yeonmi Park, and I was born in the darkest place in the world, the country called North Korea. Last week, we all saw something that no one was prepared to see. And seeing Charlie get executed reminded me of something that I learned in North Korea. Growing up in North Korea, the very first thing my mother taught me was not to whisper. She said, birds and mice could hear me. She also said that the most dangerous thing that I had in my body was my tongue. If I said something that was not approved by the government, it wasn't just going to kill me, it was going to kill up to 3 to 8 generations of my family's life. I'm a mother, and I have 7-year-old child son. And children are so cute, but they say a lot of stupid things, right? And I love it. I love it that he gets to be stupid sometimes. I love that he gets to be child. In North Korea, you don't get to be a child, even when you're 2 years old. Recently, North Korea executed 2-year-old along with its parents because they own the Bible. It's the only privilege that we have living in a free society when children can be children, when people have a right to be wrong. And in the communist countries like North Korea, do not have that opportunity. Living in North Korea, every day was a struggle. Even the country that founded the idea of socialist paradise, where everybody is equal, nobody is poorer than anybody, nobody is richer than anybody. But as soon as the regime took control, they divided North Koreans into 51 different caste systems. And this caste system is determined not by who you are, whose your character is, or what your belief is, but this caste system determined by who your ancestors were. If your ancestors were capitalists, intellectuals, landowners who did not believe in socialism, you go in the bottom of the caste. If your ancestor was a communist, you go on top of the list. But who chooses your parents? Nobody sitting here today chose our grandparents, right? And that's why it doubly breaks my heart when I came to America, when this left saying that white people are evil because their ancestors owned the slaves. And like, how would you want to punish something these people didn't do? That is the heart of Marxism. And that's how North Koreans are determined to be stopped by its own government. Every day growing up in North Korea, my dream was having a bucket of bread. I never ate until I felt full. So I did not know how much a human body needs to feel full. Apparently not that much. But growing up in North Korea, I did not know that. Even in these darkest moments though, I got to see the light. When I watched a bootleg DVD coming from China. North Korea does not have internet, does not allow the outside information, but there are smugglers that go to China, get these bootleg DVDs. And I got to watch something that was called WWE Pro Wrestling. Do you guys watch this here? I have no clue till this day why this thing was loved by North Koreans, but I got to see it. And I did not know that was a show. I literally thought that's how American men looked like. So when I came to America, I was pretty disappointed. After WWE Pro Wrestling, I got to see something else. It was movie Titanic. And as I said, North Korea is like a different planet. The government not just deprived us our freedom and human rights and dignity, but they also deprived our knowledge of love and freedom and all these things. We don't know the word love in North Korea. The only love North Koreans are allowed to know is our love for the dear leader. The love, the word preserved only for that purpose. And we don't even have the word stress, because how can you be stressed if you live in the socialist paradise? You cannot be. So the government just deleted these words from our dictionary. So watching Titanic was just beyond shocking. I could not believe this man was dying for a woman that he loved, something so shameful. But the other hand, it somehow made me a taste of humanity for the first time, that individuals can choose what they live for, what they die for. It doesn't have to be always dying for the communist revolution. And that movie gave me a taste of the outside world. And when I watched DiCaprio in this movie as a young girl, I literally thought he got killed to be in this movie. So when I escaped, I asked people if he's okay. And everybody said, like, sweetie, don't worry. He dates a lot of young models in California. He's very much alive. So I was relieved. By the time when I was 13 years old, having never even seen the map of the world, I was just starving. I could no longer find grasshoppers, dragonflies, or plants to survive. Luckily, I was living in the border town of North Korea, a city called Haesan. We had this Yalu River between North Korea and China. Across Yalu River at nighttime, I saw electricity lights coming from that side. It's like escaping from North Korea. It's not like these people walking through our southern borders. They get to see TikTok videos, right? North Koreans have no clue what that is. I just wondered. They seem like have lights at nighttime. Maybe if I go somewhere the lights are, I might be able to find a bowl of rice. That curiosity led me to escape from North Korea in 2007 when I was 13 years old. Thank you. Thank you so much. There are border guards with machine guns that are ready to shoot anybody who crosses the border. Literally, the North Korean regime ordered the border guards to not even let single bug to cross this border. They buried the landmines. There's electrified wire fences. The whole country is a concentration camp. But somehow, I found a lady who wanted to cross this border. And she bribed these border guards and didn't shoot us. And that's how I was able to cross this Yalu River with my mother and myself. As soon as I got to Chinese border side, I did learn why these people were helping us. The very first thing I saw in China was not the bowl of rice, but my own mother was being raped right in front of me. I learned that because the Chinese Communist Party had a one-child policy, they killed so many girls and kept the boys only. They are lacking 33 million men cannot find women. And the Chinese Communist Party do not want this young, angry man start revolution. So they want to appease them somehow. And that appeasement came with the price of North Korean women, like me, are allowed to sold as sex slaves. They sold my mom and sold me separately, and they determined to sell my mother for $65 in the 21st century. And they decided I was over $200, and I was being separated from my mother. So I asked this adult man in China, like at the time I was like a half size of my mom. I asked him, why do I worth more than my mother? Because apparently I'm like only half size of her. I still remember this man telling me that I'm way more valuable than my own mother, because a lot of men in China love taking child virginity away. That's why I was way more valuable than my mother. And that's how I got separated from her. 2 years of my slavery, when I turned 15 years old, there was no place I could end up in China. Normally, the North Korean women end up in China are to organ harvesters or to the brothels where we get raped like 100 times a day. Third is a place where we get these fake husbands who rape us. Last place I heard that we could end up was a place called chat rooms. In these chat rooms, we are provided with the food and place to sleep, but for that price, we had to show our naked body to men over the cam. And I thought that was the best deal I got as a North Korean, because at least in this chat room, nobody was abusing me in person. So I was very grateful for the opportunity. In this chat room, I learned something very interesting. The men that I'm supposed to show my body to were South Korean men. And I was so confused. Like, I thought South Korean people were colonized by American bastards. How do these people have money to even look at my body? It really, really confused me. I could not believe what was happening. And then I met a woman in this chat room, another North Korean defector woman. She said she knows some Christian missionaries from South Korea that rescues North Korean defectors. She said, do you want to call this person and ask for help? And I called this number in 2009 in Xinjiang, China. I called this number, and the missionary person answered the phone, and she said, sweetheart, you can go somewhere to be safe, you can somewhere to be free. And I knew what safe meant, but I did not know what free was. I'm so glad she didn't say freedom was like really, freedom to assembly, freedom to expression. She literally said, darling, if you go to South Korea, you can watch K-dramas and you can wear jeans, and nobody is going to kill you and imprison you for that. And when I heard that at 15 in China, I could not believe there is a land somewhere individuals can decide what to wear, what to watch, what to sing, how to move their body. I couldn't believe somewhere like that exists on earth. So I said, I want that. I want to go where that is. And how can I go to that place? And they said, this journey is so dangerous. Only God can deliver us to that safety from China. They couldn't come with us, but they could give us compass. That we had to walk across Gobi Desert from China to Mongolia. And God did it, guys. The chance of me. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. The chance of me surviving that Gobi Desert was not even 1%. And as you can see me, I'm not Joe Rogan. I cannot take an ice bath. Somehow, I survived the desert. In the last 80 years of North Korea's oppression, only 209 defectors made it to America. And I became one of that person. Thank you so much. After I got to South Korea, they took 6 months to interrogate me that I was not a spy, that I was not a criminal. And after they verified every fact about my life, they released me to South Korean society. In 5 years of South Korea, I got to read 100 books a year. I hope you guys do that too. Get off TikTok, get off Instagram, read 100 books a year. Thank you. And in this time, I got to read actually books written by a lot of American authors like Frederick Douglass and many great Americans. And I wanted to go to this promised land, a land where individuals can be free. And that prayer answered when I got accepted to study at Columbia University in New York in 2016. That was 9 years ago. I came to this country just full of hope. I started studying at Columbia University. And when I got there, I actually couldn't believe what I was saying. I literally at some point thought I might have gone back to North Korean classroom because the professors at Columbia were saying exactly the same things that our teachers taught in North Korean classroom. They said, all the problems that we have in the world is because of white men. And white men are evil because of their ancestors. And they literally said men can be a woman and they can change every minute if they want to. And I literally thought, even North Korea didn't go this crazy, right? At least people know what woman is in North Korea. And the teachers, the professors at Columbia, in Ivy League University saying, math is racist. Math is made up by white men to brainwash a minority. And I remembered my lesson in North Korean classroom when my teacher asked me once, what is 1 + 1? What is 1 + 1? Thank God you know. I said 2, and my teacher in North Korea said it's wrong. The dear leader, Kim Jong-il, tried one experiment one day, adding 1 drop of water to another drop of water. It didn't become 2, but it became bigger one. That is how idiotically that he proved that math was made up by white men to brainwash the minority. This insane lesson was being taught in the 21st century in America. And that's when I realized what they were doing. If you can make brainwash people to believe that man can be a woman, 1 + 1 is not 2 and 1, you can also make them believe that slavery can be freedom, right? That's why they're inverting all this truth in every possible way they can. So when the slavery comes, nobody will question. They will think that's freedom. And that is what Charlie died for. Because in the time of this force that is rising in America, in every sector that we can imagine, that truth is what they fear the most. And truth is the only force that is going to save us out of this darkness. That's why I'm grateful for you to come here to hear my story. And I'm grateful for all Americans are fighting for freedom. Thank you so much. Thank you, really. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Today, the conservative media is massive.
I think a lot of people didn't realize before the pandemic how bad it was for kids in America right now. So in came the MAHA movement, in came the school choice movement, in came this humongous attempt by average people to go out and remove liberal indoctrination.
People on the right are vastly underserved. They claim that people are bleeding out in the parking lots all over America at hospitals because they can't get a life-saving abortion in red states.
Yeah, loud noises! All right, back over here. Ah! What is up, Texas? Everybody say, God bless America. Everybody say, God is good. Everybody say, God bless Texas. That is the one I love the most. How is everybody doing? This has been a weekend. I would like to thank all of you for being a part of this weekend. You guys are the Rebel Alliance. You guys are the next generation. This is the future. What is happening right now this is powerful. You guys are surrounded by people that are going to change the world. It is not a coincidence that you collectively are young people here today, like-minded individuals who see a better path for America. Give it up for yourselves, people. If y'all don't know who I am, I'm on a lot of rock and roll radio stations around the country. I do a podcast. I co-host a really popular morning show, and Christian is a really good friend of mine. I am so proud of him for putting this together this year. This was a tough year to put this together. You guys know why. Give it up for Christian Collins, y'all. I love Christian Collins. You know who I don't like? Jimmy Kimmel. Isn't it interesting? How is it that the same people who were upset that Colbert was going to lose his job are also upset that Jimmy Kimmel's going to lose his job? How are you watching both of these shows at the same time? It's the same show on every channel. You know what I think would be cool? Wouldn't it be cool if there was a late night show on a major network for right-wing, conservative, liberty-minded, Judeo-Christians? Look, I don't know if I'd be the right guy for that job, but I would audition for it. I would like to try. So I wrote some jokes today to audition for ABC Disney. And I was hoping I could try them out on you guys. What do you guys think? All right. This is going to go great. I got a good feeling about this. All right, let's start off with this. Apple is excited to announce the iPhone 17 is officially available this weekend. Now, if you can't make time to make it out to the Apple Store, don't worry. The iPhone 18 will be available on Monday. All right. Who loves Cracker Barrel? After a failed attempt at rebranding, Cracker Barrel will go back to making biscuits from scratch. Cracker Barrel, where the biscuits are as white and fluffy as the customers. In entertainment news, Justin Bieber just announced he's going to get paid $10 million to perform at Coachella. I think that's great, guys. Now he'll finally have enough money to buy clothes. All right. Starbucks just announced they want to entice customers to spend more time in their cafes by adding new chairs and ceramic mugs and a condiment bar. Or hear me out, maybe you guys could serve coffee that doesn't taste like hot bath water? All right. According to a survey, this is abysmal, this is dark. According to a survey, 70% of people say they believe the American dream is dead. Do you guys believe that? I don't know if that's true or not, but since the new season of The View just returned to TV, the American nightmare is thriving. This is incredible. The number of people in Japan aged 100 or older has risen to a record of over 100,000 people. Isn't that amazing? And just to put that into perspective for you, the second largest concentration of people that old is the US Senate. All right, one more. A California woman is facing felony charges after registering her dog to vote. You know what makes it even worse is that the dog wasted its vote on the Green Party. You guys are a great crowd. Thank you so much for letting me do that. I appreciate it. You know, there's a lot of people here today that are activists and they're part of special interest groups. There's a lot of politicians here today that came out to try to inspire you guys to go out and follow the path they followed you in life, that they followed. And I will tell you, I didn't do what they did. I started off as a comedy writer in Chicago. I made prank phone calls for a living on a morning radio show. I'm a rock and roll DJ. I tell jokes in stand-up comedy clubs, and that's not usually what a conservative does for a living. People like you and I, we are outnumbered, unfortunately. And while there are a lot of people who think and see the world the way that we do who go into politics, I can tell you that there are probably some people in this room that don't necessarily want to follow that path, and that's okay. Because of your belief system, because of your values, we have a need for you. We have a need for you in entertainment, we have a need for you in the media, we have a need for you in academia, and we desperately need you guys in those places right now. My friend Christian Collins, who organizes this event, is a college professor. Did you guys know that 20 years ago, there were conservative college professors in every university in the country, and they have this thing called the Confucius Institute. Do y'all know what a Confucius Institute is? Do you get what that is? The Chinese Communist Party, this is gonna sound crazy, the Chinese Communist Party pumps money into our education system here in the United States, and they're doing it for a reason. And every one of these universities you see around the country where they have one of these offices, they'll tell you it's like an outreach center for the Chinese communist business students or whatever. That's not what it is. It is a lie. They've been exposed and it's been proven. What they're doing is paying the universities to hire professors who are not sympathetic to capitalism and a representative republic and Judeo-Christian values. They are hiring professors at colleges who do not share your beliefs. And as young kids in high school and college, it's gonna be your job to go out there now and debate these people. While you're trying to learn history and math and science, that's the environment that you're walking into. 20 years ago when I went into college, it was bad. Now it's worse. I went to the University of Illinois in Chicago. It's a big liberal university, kind of like the University of Houston. It was this giant public state university in the middle of a big city. So if it had been anywhere else, it would have been the biggest thing in town, but because it was in this big city, some people didn't necessarily notice it was there, or what was happening at the college. And what was happening at the college was indoctrination, right? I can remember one time I got invited to go be a DJ at a party at the Jewish Student Union. Now, I was really excited about this. I was 19 years old. They were gonna pay me a couple $100 to drag my broken, busted speakers and my turntables to a party. I was really excited about this. It was a fun night for me. And when I showed up at their building where they had the party at, there were people standing out front wearing t-shirts with sickle and hammer on them, waving the Hamas scarf around, and they were screaming at me like anti-Semitic slurs, which is weird because I'm a Catholic, so I didn't, that was a weird thing to have someone do to me. But I remember walking into the party that night and thinking to myself, I'm young, I don't know much about politics, I'm still learning how the government works. I don't know what I am ideologically, but I know that I'm not that. And after I finished college, I got a job in radio and doing stand-up and traveling around the country. And I will tell you, for the last 20 years of my life, I've had a lot of fun. I've met a lot of famous people, I've done a lot of cool stuff. I get paid probably more than I should to do a job that I really enjoy. And there's two reasons why that's true, right? Because I'm not probably smarter than most of you, I'm probably not funnier than most of you, but I worked really hard and I had God on my side. Everything that I've accomplished is because of my Creator. So I will tell you, I came out here today to do two things. Promote my comedy show on October 5th at the Bad Astronaut Brewing Company. Tickets available at wheelchairsforwarriors.org. Promo code WJ, just kidding, there's no promo code. But we would love to see you guys there. But more importantly, I really want the high school and college kids to know this. If you believe that conservative policies, that liberty-minded policies are what make this country better, if you believe in freedom, if you believe in capitalism, if you believe in the right to free speech and the right to self-defense, but you don't want to go work at a special interest group, you don't want to be a politician, that's okay. We need you in the music industry. We need you in the comedy world. We need you guys to start blogs. We need you to host a podcast. We need you guys to go host a radio show. We need you guys to be college professors. One of my idols, one of my role models before I moved to Texas, one of the guys that talked me into moving here was Andrew Breitbart. Can we hear it for Andrew Breitbart? When I was a little bit older than you guys, I got to eat lunch with Andrew Breitbart, and he told me something that he told a lot of people. Politics is downstream from culture. Do you get what that means? I know that's a lot, right? Think about it for a minute. When people go to vote, they're not usually thinking about what a politician said. They're thinking about what their friends told them. They're thinking about what they heard a comedian say. They're thinking about the lyrics to their favorite song. There are conservative people in music selling, platinum records. There are comedians touring this country right now who love God and like Trump, people like Theo Vaughn. Who's gonna be the next Greg Gutfeld? Who's gonna be the next Christian Collins? Who's gonna be the next Charlie Kirk? I will bet you that every one of the people I just described, every one of those hypothetical people is probably in this room right now. And if you guys take one thing from my silly little speech or these dumb jokes I told, just know this: you can make a good living, you can tour the world, you can meet fascinating people, and you don't have to sell out your principles. You can love America, you can love God, follow the path. You guys, I didn't have what you guys had when I was your age. When I was going to college and I figured out I was a right-winger, all I could do was put my head down and shut up because I wanted to graduate. I didn't want to get bullied. I didn't want to get picked on. I didn't want to get terrorized. We would have killed for Turning Point USA back then. We would have killed for the Texas Youth Summit. You guys have that now. People like Charlie Kirk, people like Christian Collins, they ran so the rest of us can walk. I'm Kenny Webster. You guys can listen to me 5 days a week, every morning on KPRC Radio here in Houston and dozens of other radio stations around the country. I've got a smartphone app you can find on the Google Play Store, the Apple App Store, called The Radio Gods, The Walton and Johnson Show. I hope you guys will download it. God bless you all. Thank you for listening to me, and God bless Texas, everybody.
And I just couldn't stand that I was working in an industry that made these people richer. And so I decided to fight against that cultural toxicity.
These award shows, which ended up being political rallies for these guys, they go out there and they'd be like, you guys driving your big diesel trucks, you're ruining the environment. And then they go fly on their private jets. I truly believe God is calling up the officers of his army to lead the troops into this biblical battle.
What's up, Houston? Texas. God, I love being in Texas. I just flew in from what I call tropical Texas. Got the Florida shirt on. I wouldn't say I'm a Florida man yet, but I'm working on it. Thank you all for being here. I'll be honest, everyone I know that knew I was coming here said, don't go. And they're like, it's too dangerous. And I said, no, that means I have to go. And thank you for being here. That means you guys are truly called. That means you have what it takes to change this country. Because that person that fired that bullet and everyone that supported them wanted to make us scared, wanted to make us back down and fear them. And if there's one thing I've seen, millions of people taking to the streets to show that they are not afraid. Millions of people speaking out louder than ever before. They just created a million Charlie Kirks. I know you guys have heard a lot of probably stories about Charlie, but I'm going to tell mine. I met Charlie about 7 years ago, and You know, it's crazy. I was texting him like 3 days before he was shot. I personally have never had a friend that's been murdered before. It's a pretty surreal thing. I mean, he was larger than life. He had an energy about him that you can only explain when you meet someone like that. And he would tell people that he was home for around 30 days a year. He was traveling the other 335. He is the hardest working person I've ever met in my life, and I've met President Trump and Elon Musk. I'm not even kidding. I mean, it's almost as if deep down he knew he didn't have as much time as everyone else. There's something, sometimes the brightest stars burn out the quickest, and then he didn't burn out. He would have kept going till he was 90. But what they did to him proves to us one thing. We are winning. We are winning. They could not debate him. They could not defeat his ideas. They could not outsmart him. He had a microphone there for anyone that disagreed with him to come up and offer their opinions. And they said, we don't have any. All we have is a bullet. That is a sign of a loser. That's the sign of someone that is losing. And it's also the sign of pure evil. And that's what we are up against. This is a battle of good versus evil. This is not Democrat versus Republican. I think, frankly, a lot of Democrats have woken up and said, why am I on this team? Right? I have told people this. I say, I don't know why they stopped writing the Bible. I feel like we're in a biblical time right now. When the bullet missed President Trump because he turned his head, and when the bullet took out our strongest leader besides President Trump and woke up a lion in this country, woke up a lion around the world. I think that truly was the turning point. That truly was the turning point for our country, where we are going to become a strong Christian, family-oriented nation once again. We are going to fulfill Charlie's mission. And I think it was the turning point for what we're up against. That was their peak. It's all downhill for them from there. They don't have a leg to stand on. They call us a threat to democracy. Why? Because we want to have an open debate? Last I checked, the threats to democracy were the people shooting other people in the neck for voicing their opinions, were the people arresting their political opponent 4 times in the 6 months leading up to an election. The threat to democracy is the people banning hundreds of thousands of patriotic voices off social media, the people that banned a sitting United States president off all social media. They kicked Dan Bongino off Fox, Laura Trump. Charlie Kirk was kind of blacklisted when it comes down to it. They are fascists, and they're losing. They're desperate. And so I am so proud of you guys for being here. I'm so proud of the people that I've seen show courage in this moment. People who were not religious, people who weren't that political. And just like the guy up here before me, what a great speaker he was. The next Charlie Kirk is in this room. The next Tucker Carlson is in this room. The next DC Drano is in this room. The next Donald Trump is in this room. No one can replace Charlie Kirk, but we can all do our part to fill that gap. If we all put in another 10 to 20%, that's a million Charlie Kirks on top of what he was doing. He wanted to lead by example. And frankly, he came up with some stuff that had never been done before. I think in the last year, Charlie probably doubled or tripled his social media following going into this moment. He was a rock star. I think he probably had 30 or 40 million followers. I mean, but he's, a white guy talking politics, and he was like one of the most popular people on social media. He didn't know how to play guitar, he didn't sing, and he was a legend. And he showed how it was possible. What if I told you that one of your favorite conservative voices would be a Hollywood entertainment attorney living in Los Angeles? Would you believe me? No, but that's what I was. DC Drano was a Hollywood entertainment attorney living in Los Angeles. I was a conservative, I just kept it really quiet. But I was working on movie deals when Trump was running for office, and I was like, I like this guy. I think I'm gonna get a MAGA hat. And I remember I was dating this girl at the time, and she came over to my house and she saw a MAGA hat. She goes, "Is that like a Trump hat?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like as a joke. I was like, "No, I think the guy's pretty good." She ended up blocking me on Instagram. That's okay. I left her. Not to get into my personal life here, but yeah, I was doing DC Drano secretly. So I was doing movie deals with like Will Ferrell and Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill during the day, and then at night I would go home and like be like, "Hollywood sucks, am I right?" And everyone's like, "Yeah." And I remember I actually made this shirt, and it said "Hollywood sucks." That was like the original DC Drano profile picture. And this was back when like Antifa would go to Trump's star on Hollywood Boulevard, and they'd like try and break it with a pitch axe and pepper spray Trump supporters. And I'd go down there and be like, "Don't mess with his star." And I remember one of my friends, his name is Fleckus. Anyone know Fleckus here? YouTube guy. And he filmed a video at the Hollywood Star, and he would talk to these protesters, and they wouldn't even know what they were protesting. He'd be like, "So why do you not like Trump?" Be like, "He's a fascist." "Well, what did he do?" "He works with Russia." It's like, "Do you have any evidence?" "Shut up." And I was in the video, and it went viral, and then it was on Tucker Carlson. And he's showing the video of these people attacking Trump's star, and there's a guy standing there with sunglasses and a Hollywood sucks shirt, just like, on Fox News, that I was trying to keep a secret. And I walk into the office on Monday, and I'm wearing like, like a suit and whatever. And I'm just, "Oh, hey, Maureen," like, "Hey, Bob." I'm like, I hope no one watches Fox News here. Like, because I was just on the primetime TV. So I quickly realized that I was living a double life, and I was not able to do that. I was going to get fired very soon, especially since it said Hollywood sucks. I was doing movie deals with Harvey Weinstein at the time. I know. Don't worry, I wasn't his type, so didn't get invited to those parties. But, I was making a lot of money. I had built a career. I had spent 10 years working as a lawyer, between law school and working as a lawyer. And I said, I have to get involved. This Trump guy, he's onto something big. I need to put my voice out there. And I loved meme accounts, right? Who here likes meme accounts? It's the best. You don't even need like funny movies or comedians. You can just see the funniest memes. And like, how many of you guys send memes to your friends or family each day? Right? Think about that. Every single person in this room probably does that, whether you send them or whether you receive them, sometimes against your will. That, to me, is the most powerful form of mass communication that exists. If you want to get your message out there, put it in a meme that people want to share. It will get to millions of people. I have 3 million followers on Instagram. Almost every single person that comes up to me that recognizes me says, "I send your memes to all my friends and all my family. We have group text with your memes." Think about that. 3 million times however many, maybe 15 million. There's only like 70 million people that vote. And I'm just a dude sitting in a coffee shop posting on Instagram and helping shape the entirety of elections and what people discuss. Everyone can do this. You don't need to have a massive organization. You don't need a film crew. You don't need edit. You can do it today. You can start doing this stuff. And I remember the first time I met Charlie, he saw me, we were at an NRA convention, and he was walking through the crowd, and he's so tall, like he's 6'5". And he's like, Rogan, Drano, what do you want to be called? I was like, Drano works. He's like, I love what you're doing on Instagram. He's like, how did you figure this out? I was like, I don't know, it's just memes. And he's like, let's chat, get my number, let's meet up. We went out for pizza after that. And then he told me, he goes, how many people have over 100,000 followers on Instagram? And he had like 10,000 at the time. I'm like, I don't know, man, there's like 2 of us. He's like, that's crazy. We got to get you to these conferences. And so he started to bring us in. And now on Instagram, there are, I'd say, over 1,000 people that have over 100,000 followers that speak conservative politics, right? That's why Trump won the popular vote. That's why he won young men. And that's why they killed Charlie Kirk. Because he was shaping the entire country with his videos, with his posts, with his words. And that's what they fear the most. Freedom of speech is the most powerful weapon in the history of the world. And the way the algorithms are set up now, any one of you can go viral tomorrow. You could post a video, it could be 20 seconds saying, here's why I am no longer gonna stay quiet. Or here's why I am coming out as a Republican in my school. Here's why I'm not afraid to wear an American flag hat or a MAGA hat. Do something like that. I'll probably post it on my account, but you will go viral. When you show courage in the face of adversity, think of why Charlie is so famous, because he was courageous. He went into the lion's den and said, I'm not afraid. I have God on my side. I'm going to come here and speak truth. And 40, 50 million people followed him. And he was so powerful that they felt the only way to stop him was to kill him. Now, I'm not saying you guys should go do all that, because it is a little bit more dangerous than it used to be. We have to face the reality. But we have to adjust our tactics, our battle tactics. Guerrilla warfare, digital guerrilla warfare. You can post from your house and make a difference in this country. And I think that's what all you want to do. Why else are you here? You're not here to be a quiet supporter. You're here because you want to know how to make a difference, because you care about this country, because you care about Christianity. You care about having a free society. You care about our constitutional rights. Step up and get in the fight. It's actually a lot of fun. It's pretty cool. I got to have dinner with President Trump because I post memes on Instagram. I don't deserve that. Thank you. Funny story, I had dinner with him, and he's like, hey, and we were at Mar-a-Lago, and people would come up to the table, and they'd be like, hey, so-and-so, he's a billionaire, he invented like Marvel Comics. They're like, see that guy? That's DC Drano, he's an influencer. And I'm like, thank you, yes, I guess that's true. And then he goes, he could ruin me with one tweet, he could ruin me. I'm like, I would never do that. But yeah, and then he actually asked me, he goes, we should go golfing sometime. And I go, sir, you're not gonna believe this, but I I don't think I want to do that. I'm not that good, and I know you're kind of mean to people that aren't good. I go, how about this? I'll speak at like one of your rallies or something. He looks at his people, he goes, make it happen, done, deal, okay. But I've seen it. When you shank one in front of Trump, he like makes fun of you. I was like, I don't have the confidence for that. And he's really good. But yeah, so when I was a Hollywood lawyer, and backtracking a little bit here, I knew I had to make a decision, and I personally felt like I could do nothing except help support President Trump. And so I literally said, you know what, I'm gonna move to Florida and just post memes for a living. And my mom was like, what? Also, fun fact, my mom is a Democrat. I know. She goes, where did I go wrong? I go, Mom, I started reading books. It's fine. Just thank you for giving me life and not aborting me. She's actually kind of cool with it now. Although she's actually a little scared now. But she was a high school teacher. A lot of her students would come up and be like, aren't you DC Drano's mom? She's like, yes. And then she'd FaceTime me and be like, look, you have fans. So she warmed up to it. But I put in my notice for my lawyer job in 2017, back when I was riding my dinosaur to work. And a partner called me that heard I was leaving. Now, mind you, no one knew what I was doing at the time. I only had like 50,000 followers, which is a lot, but it's not enough for liberals to really know about you. And she goes, can we grab lunch? I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm moving to Florida, by the way. Like, I don't know if you heard that. And she's like, no, let's just chat. And she goes, how much were you making, like, would you be making if you stayed as a lawyer? I said, well, the market rate for what I was pulling was about $400,000. And now, mind you, I was going to go post memes and make $0, which is why my mom was so upset. And she goes, how about this? $500,000, and I make you a partner in the law firm in a year. And I said, can I think about that for a second? But it didn't matter to me. I knew my answer was no. And I eventually told her, thank you, but no thank you. I'm going to go fight for the truth. I'm going to go fight for the Constitution, and I'm going to go try and help save this country. Sometimes there are things more important than money. A lot more important than money. Charlie didn't do it for the money. I didn't do it for the money. We did it because we believe in this country, and we are willing to put everything on the line. God bless Charlie. God bless all of you. And let's go make 1 million more Charlie Kirks. Okay? Thank you.
Hey, you guys are the real patriots. You are still here. Did you guys enjoy Texas Youth Summit? Are you going to help us make it bigger next year? It was pretty big this year, huh? Charlie Kirk skipped us. I think that was the Charlie effect. Just so many people have come out, and there's more exposure to Texas Youth Summit because of Charlie Kirk, and that just shows how much that man was loved. And Charlie, if you're looking down on us and hearing this, thank you very much. The man's effect, he's had more effect on the world since his passing, even than when he was living. That's legend status. So Charlie Kirk is a legend. Am I right? I also have some other people I want to thank. So I have a board, advisory council, I have an organizing team and interns, and I don't have to explain all that to you what that means, but I just want them to all come out here, and I want to thank them, and we want to get a picture. And I want you to know that you see me up here, but it's great people behind me that have helped support make this Texas Youth Summit happen. So if you guys would come out. So thank you. Just pass the mic really quickly, just say your name so people know who you are.
My name is Bethany Cole.
Elizabeth Cole.
Katarina Stewart.
Jordan Cole. Abby Barreras.
Noah Boulay. Colton Marshall.
Vasant Bhatt.
Sage Gable.
Bethany Riley.
Carrie Butler.
Mike White.
Dr. Shelley Sakula Gibbs.
I also want to thank law enforcement. I thanked them the first night, but thank you, law enforcement. You guys kept us safe. Guys, there were snipers on the roof just making sure to keep you guys safe and keeping the bad guys out. There were metal detectors. There were robotic dogs. Thank you, Montgomery County leadership, Sheriff Wesley Little, Constable Ryan Gable, Constable Philip Cash, County Judge Mark Keogh. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of your men, and thank you guys. We want to get a picture real quick. So this is a very long picture, so can you kind of bunch in a little bit and act like you like each other a little bit, You know what we could do? We could space it out a little bit so you can still see the text. So do half on that side, half on this side. What is this? Yeah, this is great. So, awesome. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. God bless Texas. Let's fight for America. Let's fight for this country. Don't give up. Keep fighting the good fight. Thank you guys so much.